Smash Metafiction? The podcast? Now that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Now why are you asking about that? Well, it was a podcast where a bunch of dinguses took a break from their usual arguments and instead did silly voices and pretended to kiss each other. You say you just listened to it? Well, child, I don't know what podcast you are listening to, and I don't know exactly how to tell you this, but nobody's heard Smash Metafiction in quite some time, because Smash Metafiction died 15 years ago. This very Halloween. I am your host, and my name is Claire. Joining me this week are Dan Mulcairn.
You had me at Dan, we're recording Shipwreck tonight.
Megan Bob.
Oh god, I'm just speechless. That's my favorite old-timey spooky joke ever.
And for the first time on Shipwrecked, Miles Schneiderman.
Wait, how did I get here? This isn't Surprise Party. You guys tricked me.
And this is a doubly special episode tonight because we also have a guest from the Phantom Heights podcast. It's Spike. Welcome back to the show, Spike.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's autumn, and you know what that means. We're falling in love all over again with the reality dating show where lonely singles from all over the multiverse cross over for 3 rounds of epic speed dating. Ordinarily, we set sail on the stormy seas of love in search of booty. But this time, we're setting sail on a ghost ship in search of booty. In the end, each contestant will secretly slip their bone number to the person that they're dying for a second date with.
Lord.
If it's love at first fright and 2 contestants pick each other, then it goes without saying that we have a new pair of soulmates. But if you open your heart to someone and they stab a stake through it, then your hopes of finding love can rest in peace. Will these boogeymen, ghoul friends, and zom-binary pals finally meet a mate who pushes their planchette? Or will they be as unwanted as the candy corn at the bottom of the bowl? I'm your host, Yvonne Detgodaway, and if you're ready to do the horizontal dance macabre, then it's time for Shipwrecked.
I don't know if anyone will hear this. I know it's our last Smashtoberfest, but I had to tell someone. I didn't mean to bring all this about. I was only trying to help my podcast. Poor thing's been sick for years. I've managed to keep it under control until now while I conducted my experiments, but it's even more full of crap than I realized, and it's getting worse. It's getting so much worse. Soon it will break free. I must prevent that from happening. I must finish what I started all those years ago. Wait, where? God forgive me.
First up, let's meet this week's 4 fabulous contestants. Contestant 1, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, hello there, darling. It is a true and honest pleasure to meet me, as I'm sure you will soon realize. My name is Lucifer Morningstar.
Oh, shit!
I am currently the owner and operator of a nightclub in Los Angeles called Lux. Before that, I was the owner and operator of a slightly different establishment, Hell. Perhaps you've heard of it. But recently I decided to take a vacation from that particular job, and, well, then I decided to keep taking a vacation from that particular job. So, Hell is behind me now. I now live on Earth, engage in all sorts of human-centric antics, and it is wonderful to behold.
Lucifer, nice to meet you. You're one of the bigger celebrities we've had on the show so far. What is it that you're looking for in a partner?
It's difficult to say, really. I've been around for so long and experienced so many different types of relationships with people that, honestly, I feel like I've kind of done it all, you know? I've been with men and women, people from all races and religions and walks of life. Honestly, at this point, I feel like who you are on the outside is less important to me than who you are on the inside. Unless you're ugly, of course, in which case, well, I suppose you could probably find someone with different and objectively worse standards than me. So you can go ahead and do all sorts of hideous and unaesthetic things with them, and I will show no interest in it. Thank you very much.
And what is it you think you'd offer to a potential partner?
Oh, darling, how much time do you have? There's my fantastic looks, of course, my amazing singing voice. I'm fabulously wealthy, a charming conversationalist. I'm quite experienced in all the areas where it really counts, if you know what I mean. If you're looking for references, I can turn you to any number of my previous conquests. My little black book isn't exactly little, if you know what I mean.
Wow. Well, after talking to you, can I just say, and I don't say this to everyone who comes through here, but you seem like a real Reese's peanut butter cup. Like the holiday ones that are shaped like a pumpkin. Why is it that you think you haven't been able to find the right one?
You know, it's difficult to say. I've been with so many people, but typically it's only been for 1 or 2 nights at a time. I haven't really been in a long-term relationship before, and I hadn't even really considered getting in a long-term relationship until relatively recently when I met a detective and things between us got, well, intimate, and it's a new experience, and I'm certainly about new experiences.
All right, contestant number 2, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I'm Scorpia. You might know me as a princess, but I like to think people know me more for my work with the Horde, which is recent, but I like to think, I'm making a difference.
I see, and what are you looking for in a partner?
Well, someone passionate about being there for people. Someone who believes in me and encourages me to be my best self. Also, maybe a bit of a rebel. Although not too rebellious. Seriously, I do have a real problem with the rebellion.
And what do you think you'd be able to offer to a potential partner?
A lot of hugs and a willingness to be there for them no matter how tough things get, like if they're kidnapped. That's just an example. I don't want them to get kidnapped.
Wow. Well, after talking to you, can I just say, and I don't say this to everyone who comes through here, but you seem like a real Cadbury scream egg. Why is it that you think that you haven't been able to find the right one?
Well, I think my work and my friendships keep me pretty busy most of the time, especially one of my friendships that's really special. And we are bonded together by the threads of destiny, and I will be there for her no matter what, because that's who I am. But I mean also my work sometimes.
All right, contestant number 3, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the introduction, though I do find it to be largely unnecessary as my presence is known and feared the world over. You may call me Mr. McMahon.
Oh no.
I am the owner of the greatest entertainment extravaganza in the history of the visual medium, the World Wrestling Federation.
I see. Well, nice to meet you, Mr. McMahon. What are you looking for in a partner?
Well, obviously, I'm attracted in a very personal and intimate way to those who share my keen acumen for business, my brilliant mind, my ability to devise the most devious schemes imaginable. One might even call them Machiavellian. And of course, someone who shares my hatred of that uncouth miscreant, that absolute disgrace, Stone Cold Steve Austin. But beyond that, I have to say, quite frankly, it's been some time since I met a person capable of satisfying my immense sexual appetites. Someone with the prowess to handle the genetic jackhammer.
And what do you think you can offer to a potential partner?
Oh, just a little something called enormous wealth and unlimited power. How's that grab you?
Wow. Well, after talking to you, can I just say, and I don't say this to everyone who comes through here, but you seem like a real Milky Way bar, a full-sized one. Why is it that you think you haven't been able to find the right one?
Well, while I have had many romantic encounters in my life, unfortunately it seems that whenever I get close to someone, they inevitably turn against me. They stab me in the back. Me. The one person responsible for all their success, their happiness, and yet they betray me. And for that, I invariably am forced to condemn them to the fiery depths of hell. So it doesn't work out.
And finally, contestant number 4, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, thank you. I'm R.M. Renfield, solicitor from London. Thank you so much for having me, yes.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Renfield. What is it that you're looking for in a partner?
Oh, long walks on the beach, holding hands. Lives, I want your kisses, smooches, yes.
I see. And what is it you think you'd be able to offer to a potential partner?
Unwavering devotion, and good teeth.
Wow, well, after talking to you, can I just say, and I don't say this to everyone who comes through here, but you seem like one of those homemade sticky popcorn balls that you get in the clear plastic bags. Oh, those are the best. Why is it you think you haven't been able to find the right one?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I believe I have not, just haven't found the right person. I haven't found the right person yet, Just gotta keep looking, just keep my head up, Hopefully my next mister won't burn into flames.
And as one last formality before we begin, I just need all of you to sign this waiver for me. And if you don't read it first, you can keep the pen. Ooh. Officially licensed shipwrecked pen. How does that sound?
Oh, that's great.
Yes, quite good.
I didn't get where I was by turning down free pens.
Everyone knows that a true businessman always reads the contract. But also doesn't pay for office supplies. Give me the pen!
All right, so before we jump into the dates, we're going to break character for just a moment so that everyone can introduce their characters to someone who may be listening who's not familiar with them. So let's start with Dan. Tell us a little bit about Lucifer.
Yeah, so Lucifer Morningstar is the main character from the TV show Lucifer, which is very loosely based on the DC comic Lucifer.
So loosely based.
So loosely. In the TV show, as I mentioned, he's literally the devil, but he runs a nightclub in Los Angeles. He has some kind of like supernatural stuff going on. He can like make his face look super demonic. His main power though, and the one that's most relevant to what we're doing here, is if he looks you in the eye and asks you what it is that you desire, you have to answer him completely honestly, even if it's an answer that like you yourself don't fully consciously realize. So just keep that in mind. If I ask you what it is that you want, and I kind of like put some stink on the way I ask the question, you have to answer honestly.
All right, so next up, Megan Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about Scorpia?
Scorpia is in the new She-Ra and Princess of Power. I guess she was also in the original, but I mean, for 5 minutes, because that show was not great to women.
Not this version.
Yeah, and it's, I want to say the actress is Lauren Ash, and God, it's so, Scorpia works for the Horde, which is the evil people, but she's so not evil. She's not even great at her job. She's just really committed. She's the kind of person who signs up, early to bring snacks to the meetings kind of person. She's just great. Oh, also she looks like a scorpion, I guess.
Thank you.
I was gonna say.
Thank you.
I know, Darren was like hovering
ready
in the
to
wings
sweep
going,
in and talk about her carapace. But
when one of the first things you talked about was the actress who plays her, I was like, here we go.
Moving on. Miles, why don't you tell us about Vince McMahon?
Mr. McMahon, specifically, is the character being used. I want to make that distinction because Vince McMahon is a real person and is the person who played the character of Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon is the owner of the World Wrestling Federation, which, obviously became World Wrestling Entertainment at some point. The character has sort of a wide canon to draw from. I'm mainly taking my representation of him from late 90s, early 2000s WWF when he was primarily feuding with Steve Austin. He is a megalomaniac businessman. He started off sort of trying to be a reasonable dude, but just really wanting to make money, but, wanting things to run smoothly. And then as time went on, he just became an over-the-top, cartoonish villain. He will do what it takes to get what he wants.
And finally, Spike. So you are representing Renfield. Sounded kind of like the Dead and Loving It version. Was that correct? Or
Yes, Claire, you are correct in your assumptions. Renfield is essentially in all of literature and movies, he's Dracula's thrall, sort of like a mindless, crazy servant of Dracula. But I'm definitely playing the Dracula Dead and Loving It Renfield, which is more slapsticky and kooky. And if you couldn't gather from my little intro thing, he's kind of a little bit more crazy.
Eats bugs.
Yeah, he eats insects, loves insects. I don't really know how to describe him too much. I mean, you just have to, it's a very physical performance, but,
Yeah, and he basically, has his mind broken by Dracula, becomes his thrall, and ends up being kind of like a ghoul that eats bugs.
Yeah, he's very servile and fawning and weird.
So it's not really much of role-playing for me, but,
For our first round of dating, our contestants are going to ditch their workday attire and slip into something more comfortable, or should I say, comforter skull. Did my best with that one, admittedly not one of my better efforts. This is a Halloween-themed episode, and you need to look the part. For that, you're going to Mall-O-Ween at the Monroeville Shopping Mall, one of 666 nationwide locations of the country's 13th most successful Halloween store chain. There, you can pick up all the costumes, masks, makeup, and accessories that you need in order to put together your ideal costume, whether it be a classic horror movie monster or maybe your favorite pop culture character. You know, if you're a nerd. And of course, the production company is footing the bill on this one, so feel free to trick or treat yourself. By which I mean, this show is still suffering from utter financial ruin, so please try to favor off-brand knockoffs and clearance racks wherever possible. Will these costume shopping partnerships end in a pair of perfect ensembles, or will this duo of dates end with disappointing duds? In order to see who is going to be paired up with whom for round 1, I'm going to consult Shipwreck's own proprietary supercomputer system that we call the Erotic Randomization Operating System, or EROS. So given the results of our previous interviews, let's see what sort of couples it makes for round 1. Just give it a second as it runs its calculations. Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. Dee-dung, dee-dung. And the results are in! Our first couple will be Lucifer and Renfield, and our second couple will be Scorpia and Mr. McMahon. Let's start off by checking in on Lucifer and Renfield. Will this new outfit be a keeper, or is it going to fall apart the first time it's worn?
So you're my date for this evening, then?
Yes, it is quite lovely to be with you today.
Oh,
yes,
I
thank
see
you.
we're both doing terrible British accents. Well, that's just delightful.
No, I think only one of us is doing terrible, really. So.
It is a pleasure to make You are a very sweaty little man, aren't you?
Quite. I'd like to think right now that Renfield is like enamored by some cobwebs and is just like getting caught up in them and like, yes. Could you give me a hand, sir?
Are
Mr.
you planning
Mornings?
on going as a disused broom closet, perhaps?
Just trying to fight for my life here, sir. Get me out of this.
Oh, very well, I suppose.
Now, do you prefer going by Lucifer or Morningstar?
Lucifer is fine. If you want to call me Mr. Morningstar, I certainly won't object. It's not like that's my father's name or anything. He goes by a quite different name, as it happens. Renfield is appropriate for you, then?
Yes, Renfield, yes, or Toad, or Slave, or whatever you want to call me, Daddy. Mr. Morningstar, I mean.
Oh, so you're on that end of the BDSM spectrum. I like it. Well, perhaps we should start looking over in the adult section of the costumes, shall we? I will say, though, I do like Halloween quite a bit. Everyone gets to dress the way they want to, and it's all sexy. It's like everyone's inner muse is coming out, and they're all dressed in bikinis. I feel like that's the way the world should be all the time, don't you agree?
Oh, yes, I can see here they have a sexy Dracula costume. That hits home, doesn't it?
You know, Dracula wasn't as sexy as you might have imagined. Bit of a unibrow.
You take that back, sir!
Oh.
Sorry, I'm still a little sensitive about my former employer.
Yes, I'm familiar with Mr. Tepish, as he was known to me. I say, it seems as though you're carrying a bit of baggage with you.
Yes, and he holds up his bag that he's carrying with him. Yes, it's a nice, handmade, good, solid leather.
Well, that's not quite the one I was thinking of. Yours, I feel, has probably quite a bit less candy in it and more bloody nightmares and evenings woken up in a cold sweat sort of thing.
You're bringing me back to the old times with the master. Yes, many a writhing night of torture and pain.
You know, you speak of this somewhat fondly, and yet I can't help but wonder, what is it that you truly desire?
I want more than anything. I want structure in my life and someone to wrong me, but also to treat me right from time to time, I believe. Tell me they love me as they're whipping my writhing body on the ground.
Well, I suppose that's the ideal relationship, even if you are submissive. That doesn't mean you're not a person anymore. I'll tell you what, there's a lovely selection of cattle prods over there. Let's go take a look, and you can tell me a bit more about what exactly it is that you're looking for.
Yes, that sounds quite lovely, Mr. Morningstar. Lead the way.
Now it's time to check in on Scorpia and Mr. McMahon. Are these two having fun playing dress-up, or have they already moved on to undressing?
Ooh, dolphin costumes! I really like the creatures of the ocean. Strong, sleek, they travel in pods.
It's a very good costume, though. You don't think that maybe you should try for something a little bit scarier?
I usually try to stay away from it because I do have a pretty scary tail, but I'm open to ideas.
But I do think that maybe if you're attracted to the ocean animals and maybe combine that with the darkness of the Halloween spirit, maybe is there some sort of black dolphin, perhaps, like an orca?
Oh, or like a ghost orca.
I like it. Let's see if we can find something like that.
What are you looking at?
I was thinking more along the lines of something, sort of regal in a way. Maybe some kind of monarchy would be good for Mr. McMahon.
So are you thinking like a spooky king or just a regular king?
Something that conveys power.
Well, they have this selection of crowns if you want to try these on. I'm going to pull on this orca costume. This is pretty powerful. Do I look scary, though?
Maybe try baring your teeth a little bit more than you're doing right now. Right. But the costume's teeth.
Oh, okay, sorry. Just pulls open the mouth of this. It sort of like only comes up to her chest because she's so tall.
I like it, but there's something missing a little bit from this costume. I'm trying to think what it is. I feel like maybe it requires over the orca costume, perhaps some sort of jacket. You, shop person, run and fetch a jacket.
Like just a regular jacket? I don't know if we have those. I mean,
Any kind of jacket.
I just have the one that I'm wearing now. It's just like, it's my jacket, though.
Give it to me. Give it to me now.
You have a really forceful personality. I feel like I struggle with leadership sometimes. I mean, not all the time, but sometimes. I don't know. How do you get like that?
I was born to it. This is simply my natural state. Anyway, try this jacket on.
Okay. I'm like I feel like an orca on its way to a business meeting.
It is clearly, I'm sorry, Scorpia, I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is clearly the jacket of a peon. Take your jacket back.
There's kind of some holes in it now from her spikes.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. You know what? The production will pay for this one. It just hands you like one of those tattered cloaks. I know it sort of looks like a zombie cape type thing, but I think they'll probably let you get away with this at work. I'll just say it's my fault that, this has holes in it. I'm sorry.
I always thought that capes were ripe for a comeback any day now. And you know what they say? Be the change you want to see in the world. I'd hate to interrupt, but I just can't mask my contempt for this segment any longer. It's time for the jump scare.
Oh, man.
As our contestants leave Malloween and head out into the main shopping mall, they notice that no one is shopping anymore. Rather, everyone is gathered around a cluster of TVs in the display window of an electronics store, all watching some sort of breaking news report. People are not willing to accept your solutions, Doctor, and I don't blame them. Every dead body that is not exterminated becomes one of them. It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill. Doctor, we want facts. The public needs facts. What do you have to give us? They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims. You understand that, Mr. Berman? It's what keeps them going. If we listened, if we dealt with this phenomenon properly, without emotion, it wouldn't have come to this. Maybe it's a virus. Maybe there's no more room in hell. Maybe Io Shirai performed a demonic ritual with the help of the Cat in the Hat. But regardless of the reason why, the dead are indeed walking. It's not clear how widespread this is yet, but let's hope it's not too widespread because we still have other segments after this one, and a full-on post-apocalypse is really going to screw up our production schedule. Right now, television and radio reports are telling people to run to the nearest government shelters. However, you four decide to try a different strategy. Between the food court, the arcade, the ice skating rink, and the sporting goods store full of firearms, you realize maybe you got a good thing going here, and decide to transform the mall into your new makeshift home. You hole up inside an easily defensible back office, barricade off the entrance, and over the next couple days, you four endeavor to scavenge supplies, kill off the scattered zombies that have already managed to make it into the mall, secure the exits, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over. Let's start off by checking in on Lucifer and Renfield. There are some killer deals going on right now, but shop with care, because in this shopping center, you're always in danger of getting mauled.
I must say, I'm rather glad that this Victoria's Secret was untouched. For some reason, I just feel at home amidst all these ill-clothed female mannequins.
Renfield has his hands over his eyes like the see no evil. It's a bit risque for my taste, but I'm glad that you're glad. I'm happy to make you happy.
I can see that the horrors of the zombie apocalypse have rather overwhelmed your senses, but I assure you, it's not really that bad. It's a lot of off-screen gore, a lot of you just sort of like swing your axe at a shape off-screen, and then there's a spray of blood, and then you're done. It's not really that terrible.
Hey, maybe you could show me how?
Oh, certainly. Here, this is what I've been using. It's basically a lamp that I got at the furniture store, but it has a nice long cord, so you can sort of swing it about your head like a ball and chain. Here, let me show you. Lucifer immediately begins decapitating nearby mannequins with a lamp.
Oh, that's a bit too fast-paced for me, but... well, I'll give it a go. Yeah, Renfield just sort of like swing, smacks himself in the... oh, goodness, and falls down.
All right, well, I suppose that's one strategy should you become bitten by a zombie and need to off yourself rather quickly. So,
yes.
Thumbs up there.
Mr. Morningstar, I was wondering if maybe... well, it's just that you're so well-dressed all the time. Maybe, I feel like my clothes are so old-fashioned. Maybe you could show me some newer fashions. Maybe we could have some sort of montage of us trying on clothes together.
Darling, you had me at montage. Come, I believe there's still... oh, no, well... that one burned down. Oh, you know what? I bet the hot top... no, that's not... come to think of it, I think the only one that's still intact is the Old Navy. Well, this is truly the darkest possible timeline, but I've done more with less before, so let's go.
Now let's check in on Scorpia and Mr. McMahon. Wonder where they're shopping. Dead Hardy? Aber Zombie and Fitch? Is that a thing?
Did you get a receipt for that?
I mean, hardly seems like there's a point to it these days.
I don't think that the zombie apocalypse is a reason to, just steal things. I think we have to be responsible.
I mean, now look, how do you expect us to get to the top of the hierarchy of survivors of the zombie apocalypse without stealing the occasional thing?
Oh no, I'm fine with, we are probably, the law would say that we are stealing, but I've been keeping this notebook of everything I've taken and the price that's listed, and whenever this all blows over, I can go back and make amends and it'll be fine.
All right, fine. We'll make a note of this jerky. I'm hoping to use it to draw two of the zombies into conflict.
Okay, well, let's get some zombie fighting going. I've been keeping some of them corralled in the jumping castle, just sort of, out of the way.
All right, here goes. And we toss the jerky there.
Brains!
Fight, you bastards!
I wasn't expecting that zombie to be able to do a drop kick just to get that piece of jerky, actually. I feel like we shouldn't be watching this.
No, it's good. The people love their blood sport. Give it to them. Get them again.
And now they're just both eating the jerky at the same time, and oh no, you should have stopped after the jerky was gone, though.
Thankfully, after just a few days of avoiding hordes of walkers, fending off attacks by motorcycle-riding raiders, and eating way too much Sparrow, help has finally arrived in the form of helicopters from the World Health Organization, who inform our contestants that this outbreak of undeath was thankfully merely non-Zomkin's lymphoma, as opposed to the far more fast-spreading and deadly deep vein zombosis. And it was highly localized, only affecting this one city. Strangely enough, this mall was apparently right at the epicenter of the affected area. Wonder if that's significant. Anyway, the limited nature of this outbreak means that society at large will still be able to recover, which is good, because we still have 2 more dates to go on. Our second round of dating is sure to be an enwitching experience, because you're going to the spookiest city in the world, Salem, Massachusetts. And this Halloween night, you'll be staying in the scariest accommodations imaginable, a discount Airbnb. Eat, drink, and be scary at this Halloween house party. We've hung up some black and orange screamers, and gathered all the other supplies you'll need to party it up from the Ghostery store. What? Carve some pumpkins in the kitchen, bob for apples in the backyard, hang out by the front door and hand out candy to trick-or-treaters, or cuddle on the couch with your dearly departed and watch a spooky movie while drinking some booze. Or if you're not to alcohol, some boo-long tea.
Oh my god.
Or if you want to get some exorcise, maybe go for a walk around the block, do some trick-or-treating, egg some houses, whatever you want. I'm not your mom. In order to see what the pairs will be for this next round of dating, I've plugged into one of Eros's USB ports my brand new USB crystal ball, which will allow me to see all possible futures and discover the most suitable matchups. Beep. boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Dee-dunk, dee-dunk. And the results are in. Our first couple will be Renfield and Scorpia, and our second couple will be Mr. McMahon and Lucifer. Let's start off by checking in on Renfield and Scorpia. Are we having Skella fun yet? You can't Skella run from my Skella puns.
I really like your costume. I'm not sure I'm familiar with the cultural reference that it's making.
I'm Swolo Baggins. Wait, no, that's not what it is. What is it? YOLO Swaggins. And he's got the sideways hat, the glasses, and a Frodo Baggins outfit.
So are you a sexy Frodo Baggins?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm not sure what you're dressed up as, Miss Scorpia. What is it, this costume?
It's got a kind of high concept to it. It is a ghost orca that also is a business professional.
Ah, interesting. Yes. It looks lovely on you, might I say.
Thank you.
Would you care to join me at the couch and watch some Netflix and chill, as they say?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Do you want to get a drink first?
Yes. Renfield comes back with just a cup of spiders or something.
Oh wow. Some of your drink is running away from you.
I don't know what you're talking about, and he hides it away.
Some of your drink is on your shoulder a little bit.
Yes. No, that's just I don't know how that got there. I must say, you're looking quite lovely. You're part insect, I take it.
Yeah. I'm all princess, but yeah, part insect too. I mean, I did buff my carapace for this occasion.
I can tell. Yes, it's quite shiny and delicious.
Thank you. So, do you study insects? Are you a fan of my people and their work?
I'm a fan of all lives, really.
For the record, you're an arachnid, but whatever, it's fine.
Oh, sorry.
For the record, you're an arachnid, but...
Sorry. My family didn't like to put on airs. I mean, we've tried to be, even though I'm, raised a princess, we tried to be sort of the people, so we can really relate more. So we just always said, insect, bug, whatever.
Hey, it's all bugs to me.
That's very open-minded of you.
Why, thank you. I try to keep an open mind and be friends with any possible. And he starts leaning in to nibble at your arm or something.
That I feel like maybe we don't know each other well enough to go there yet.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been so bad. You must punish me, Scorpia. Hurt me.
All right, I don't know if we can show any more of that with the current rating of this program, so let's check in on Mr. McMahon and Lucifer. Can these two learn how to get along?
So Lucifer is wearing his Halloween costume. He is wearing a doctor's white coat and very obviously nothing underneath it. Oh. That's it. It's just kind of buttoned up in the front.
Yeah, and Mr. McMahon is just walking around in slacks, no shirt, and a crown.
I say, I don't know what's going on with all these children. They keep coming to the door and demanding candy. I was expecting something a bit more up my alley with this whole spooky holiday and everything, but it's just children and they take things from me. What sort of a holiday is this?
It's all just a matter of appealing to their baser instincts, you see. You have to just give them things they like superheroes and clowns.
You seem like a businessman. Is that about the size of it?
Yes, very much so. And might I say I'm a big fan of your work over the years.
Oh, really? Don't think I haven't forgotten about that little deal we struck a few years back. I'm glad to see that you're doing well and everything, but I will come to call at some point, but you just enjoy yourself for the time being.
Of course. How's your father, by the way? Still an asshole?
Oh, I rarely talk to the man. He sends my brothers after me from time to time, but he can't be bothered to come down himself.
I wouldn't come down either. It's afraid of Mr. McMahon.
I can see why. Your muscles are very impressive, I have to say, and you've chosen quite the outfit to accentuate them. But that gives me an idea. All these children think that they can come around and take from us because they're dressed up. Why don't we just go and take from all of them? Right? I mean, as one businessman to another, if you're just losing revenue to anyone who comes to the door, then it's not a very successful business, is it?
This is why you're the original pro. I respect you, Mr. Lucifer. Let's do it.
That's what I like to hear. Come now. Let us see what these children are up to and beat them to the proverbial punch. Oh, by the way, would you like some punch?
I'd hate to interrupt, but have you all noticed what's going on outside? None of the adults have returned yet from the party at City Hall, and all the children are now marching through the streets like they're sleepwalking. And is that singing I'm hearing? You don't think it might be... the jump scare? I don't know which one of you virgins broke into that old witch's cottage, but someone brought the Sanderson sisters back from the dead, and that means this party is about to get as lit as the Black Flame Candle. This trio of witches has one night to complete a ritual that will allow them to kill all the children of Salem and absorb their life force, and if they don't do it, they will be disintegrated by the morning sun. Yes, this is a kids' movie. Seems like the only people in town who aren't currently under their thrall right now are these 4 strange visitors from out of town. And if there's one thing the Sandersons hate more than children, it's tourists. So they've decided that before they complete their ritual, the 4 of you need to be eliminated. Let's start off by checking in on Renfield and Scorpia, who seem to be getting chased around by Sarah Sanderson and Mary Sanderson. They'll need to find some way to dispose of these 2 witches, or at the very least, find somewhere safe they can hunker down and wait for morning. But in order to do that, they'll first need to escape using some Sarah Jessica parkour, or at the very least, a Kathy Nashimi.
So what would you say that your strengths are as a fighter? Because as a leader, I want to definitely play to your strengths as we make our approach.
My strongest aspects are definitely blindly following orders to my death. I will do that gladly for you.
You know, have you thought about working for the Horde?
I am in need of a new master of sorts, you might say.
I can get you an application, and I am happy to be one of your references.
Yes, that'd be lovely. Thank you. Oh, goodness, there's witches. Look out.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. You are interrupting a very expensive...
little children, I'll take thee
I do
away
appreciate your musical talent. I am not saying I don't. What I'm saying is that you are interrupting the filming of a TV show.
How is Renfield holding up to the mind control?
He's slowly sauntering towards them.
Renfield, no, focus on me. Focus on me. Look at my face.
I must be stalwart in the face of Dane. Oh, she's singing again.
No, but just look at me. All right. Okay, do some deep breaths. All right. Whenever I breathe in, you're going to breathe in too, okay?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I feel like you might have some sinus issues apart from everything else. I'm going to give you a bit of a field run. Okay. All right, she's coming. She's making a landing over here. All right, now you're just going to kick. Kick now. Okay, you grazed her a little bit. That is better than I expected, and this is your first time.
Look at me go. Look at me go, Scorpio. I'm doing it.
Oh, stop it. Sarah, this one's kicking me.
Yes, back.
Why does this little man have such hard feet? I need to get out of here.
The insects go straight to the feet, really. I believe I've developed some sort of hard carapace of my own.
The hard carapace of self-achievement.
Now let's cut to Mr. McMahon and Lucifer, who are being menaced by Winifred Sanderson, and you can bet she's easily as powerful as her 2 middling sisters combined.
Oh.
Well, now, looking at this situation, Mr. Lucifer, I would like to say, quite frankly, I believe that you and I are up to the task.
I rather think so. I remember these sisters, they came to me a few hundred years ago, had some sort of pact they wanted to make with me. I told them I don't really do that sort of thing. I'm the person who punishes the wicked, not give them more power and such. But, well, they sort of made up their own story and went about their lives, you know. You know how humans are, I'm sure.
Well, with your experience with the supernatural, and my own history as being the higher power, it was me, Austin. It was me all along.
You keep speaking to this Austin fellow, and I'm not entirely sure who you're referring to. Well, listen, it seems like you have quite a bit of expertise in this situation. What would you recommend we do? How would you address the threat of this incoming magic-flinging broom woman?
Now look, young lady, it's time to cut out these shenanigans right now.
Oh yes, you're speaking to me, are you?
That's right.
Well, this strange little creature's being very hyperverbal. Power of darkness? Make him a gerbil.
Now, I don't think that's terribly funny at all, and I personally think you should stop it.
Oh, well done, Winifred. Well done indeed. That is quite the impressive command of dark magic that you have there.
Master?
Well, I mean, that's what you've decided to call me. I've told you before, I don't really do that sort of thing, but sure, why not? Master works just fine.
Master!
Yes, well, you've certainly come a long way since the 1600s, my dear, and you should be very proud of yourself, but you're still just sort of doing the same thing now, aren't you? I mean, this is the 21st century, and you're still just looking for children to eat. Surely you have greater aspirations than this. Why don't you tell me? What is it that you really desire?
I suppose if we make it through this night and I'm able to gain eternal life by drinking the life force of children, then the thing I really want most is to just keep drinking the life force of children.
Well, it's lovely that you found such a niche for yourself, darling. But as someone who has been pursuing darkness for all his life, I tell you, it gets a bit exhausting. And I just feel as though you should have a seat. Hit him, Mr. McMahon! Well, I'm glad you were able to find a tiny gerbil-sized folding chair, Mr. McMahon, and really, you must have hit some extremely sensitive area on the back of her skull, because she just went down, well, like many of my dates, really.
It's not the size that counts, Lucifer. You know that.
Do I?
Well, good job dealing with the Sanderson sisters, you four. So now it's time for round 3. And yes, Halloween is over, and winter is coming, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the show. As I mentioned earlier, Shipwrecked has a new strategy for gaining funding, and surprise, here it is. When you signed those waivers at the start of the show, you actually agreed to a 5-month work contract as the winter caretakers for the Overlook Hotel. And all your salaries are going straight to paying for this episode of Shipwrecked. So, see you in April. And since the 4 of you are going to be living in close quarters for a while, we've set up recording devices all around the hotel to document every stage of your descent into the best friendships you've ever had. And yes, it's true, you won't be getting paid for any of this, but don't worry. Appearing on the show is going to be great exposure for all of you, I promise. You can spend some time wandering through the giant hedge maze, make a snack for yourself in the industrial-sized kitchen, have a tricycle race for 2 around the hallways, or maybe work on that novel you've been meaning to finish. And if the isolation ever gets too much for you to bear, me and the rest of the production crew are only a phone call away. But don't be calling me between 4 and 5. That's Yvonne's time. Will no TV and no beer make these contestants something? Fall in love? Let's find out. In order to discover who our couples are going to be for round 3, we need to bring Eros back from the grave. By which I mean wake it up out of sleep mode and see what it recommends. Beep boop, beep beep boop, beep 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 boop. Dee-doong, dee-doong. Oh, I got a 20. That's nice. And the results are in. Our first couple will be Scorpia and Lucifer, and our second couple will be Mr. McMahon and Renfield. Let's start off by checking in on Scorpia and Lucifer. Is Scorpia going to get a chance to see Lucifer's shining personality? Or will she not even be able to work up the courage to axe him out?
So I've seen you around the hotel a lot. I mean, there's only the 4 of us, so I have seen you around a lot. But, also because I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's quite alright. A lot of people get tongue-tied the first time they attempt to talk to me, and I assure you, you are easily in the top 10% of all the people that I've just begun to flirt with.
Oh, wow, that's really nice.
Well, I've spent a lot of time in hell, and I appreciate a woman with a nice carapace.
Thank you. Most people don't even notice, how good a care I take of it, because I do make sure to wax it regularly.
I was just about to say, I can just about see my reflection in it. Must be why I like it so much.
So, how have you been, keeping the boredom at bay as we wait until April?
Trying to work on that old memoir, I keep starting it with in the beginning, and then I just get very angry and set the typewriter on fire. So, it's been kind of 1 step forward, 3 steps back. How about you?
I've been trying to play some ping pong, occasionally trying to ride the tricycle, but I don't really fit as well on the tricycle as would be ideal for tricycle races.
I suppose that's true, although there is just the one, so I don't know who you'd be racing against. I suppose yourself? Trying to beat your previous record every time you go?
Yeah, I definitely have a little bit of a competitive streak. So, yeah, I have a wall of all my time trials that I've been keeping track of.
You seem very ambitious indeed. Tell me, what career are you going to be returning to once we are done with these contracts?
Working under Horde Captain Katra, trying to fulfill some of her schemes.
Oh, I see. Do you enjoy your work, being in the Horde?
I enjoy the time that I get to spend with Katra's pretty great, and I enjoy doing a good job, so in that sense, I really do, I get a lot of satisfaction out of my work. I would say, just between us, we have passed every inspection.
Well, I suppose that there's something to be said for dotting I's and crossing T's, but I noticed some qualifications in your response to me, and I can't help but wonder, what is it that you really desire?
I think I really want somebody who's as there for me as I am for them.
I see. An always a bridesmaid, never the bride sort of situation. Everyone else always seems to get the spotlight where you just play support.
Yeah, do you know what that's like?
No, I really don't. But I imagine it must be terrible.
You know, it's not the worst thing. I mean, look, I was never going to be a Dora, but I am Scorpia, and, you've seen my carapace.
I have.
It's pretty good, so I'm okay with it.
You know what? You've made up my mind. I'm going back to that typewriter. I think it may still be on fire, so we'll have to deal with that. But once we've taken care of that situation, we're going to write a story about you. I would like to hear all about what it is that you've been doing and what it is that you would like to do in the future. I think that will be a much more interesting memoir.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, I'd be happy to help you put out that fire and also talk to you about my life.
Now let's see how things are going for Mr. McMahon and Renfield. Will taking care of this hotel be all work for these two, or will they get time to play?
Thank you so much for taking me on this long walk through the maze, Mr. McMahon.
Mr. Renfield, I had something that I wanted to speak to you about personally.
Oh, thank you, Mr. McMahon. What could it be?
Well, you see, you've been selected to fill the role, a very, very prestigious assignment.
Yes, that sounds lovely.
Personal assistant to Mr. McMahon.
Wow, that's... Okay, I was expecting maybe something more intimate, I guess, but, that's nice. I'm just such a thirsty boy. Looking for a nice snackula, if you know what I mean.
Mr. Renfield, let me tell you something. It seems to me that you have not watched much programming put out by my company, the World Wrestling Federation. Because if you had, you would know that intimacy is one of the many job requirements of the personal assistant position.
No, I haven't watched any television, really. The first television I watched was that zombie program telling us to run for our lives, and what was that, the Jersey Shore I've heard about? So you run a television program?
Yes, I do. It's highly successful.
Oh, I'm surprised I've never heard of it.
As am I, but that speaks more to your flaws than to its flaws, if you know what I mean, Mr. Renfield.
You're right, I'm a bad boy.
There's one thing, Mr. Renfield, that you will need to accomplish before you achieve full intimacy with Mr. McMahon.
If you're talking about some sort of scenario like that pig man who gives the blowjobs to the old dude in that one room, buy me a drink maybe first, No beer and no TV, make Renfield something.
Nope, Mr. Renfield, I'm afraid there's only one thing that will satisfy the job requirements. I'm going to need you to join the Mr. McMahon Kiss My Ass Club.
Oh, well, that's a bit more intimacy than I expected.
Would you like some chapstick, Mr. Renfield?
So now we're a few months into everyone's stay at the Overlook, and each of you is going to get some time in the confessional, talking to the viewers about how you and the rest of the cast is doing. More importantly, who are you most worried about right now? Who seems the most on edge of the four of you? For there are dark forces in this hotel that can affect some people more than others. Might be the person among you who's the most evil, or maybe just the one who's the most open to suggestion. But choose your answer carefully, because it may be important later.
This entire trip wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for Mr. McMahon just wandering the halls at night. He wanders into that one room with the strange bathtub, and occasionally he'll stop in the middle of the hall or go to that bar downstairs, and every time he does, he seems to hold these quiet conversations with people that always end up with him screaming that they're fired. I'm not entirely certain what's going on there.
Well, things have been going pretty well, I suppose. Ever since Mr. Renfield joined the Kiss My Ass Club and became my personal assistant, I haven't really had to do much around here except for watch him work, and truly, he is quite efficient. I'm quite happy with my selection. Of course, Lucifer is doing Lucifer things. It's fine, I'm well acquainted with his brand of evil. I appreciate it as a fellow professional. Scorpia, though, she's just so nice. I feel like at this point, quite frankly, she should be breaking down a little bit more than she currently is. The fact that she has shown no signs whatsoever of mental illness could be a sign of mental illness. It's always the quiet ones, and I'm very concerned that if anything were to happen in this house, if any evil presence were to find something to latch onto, it might be her innocence and naivete. And then, who knows what'll happen? She might hug everyone. She could hug anyone.
You know, the house has been all right. Mostly, I think it's just, it's like being back at the Horde, but everybody else is on vacation or on a mission or something. So it's just big, quiet hallways. I mean, I guess it's not quiet whenever Mr. McMahon is around, because he's doing a lot of shouting. Sometimes somebody else is there when he's shouting, but sometimes he's just shouting. But he doesn't seem to mind it, so he seems like he's having a good time, and that's fine. So, as long as he's having a good time, it's fine.
Dear Diary, it is October the 2nd, and
We've gone back in time from Halloween.
We've gone back in time?
I don't... what time is it in this world that we're in?
After Halloween?
November.
after Halloween.
You say November the 2nd.
It is... Okay, Dear Diary.
I love that. I love that the
it's
breakdown happens
fantastic.
2 days in.
Dear Diary, it feels like we've been here for years now, and my dreams are haunted by seeing Mr. McMahon's shiny butt. I feel that I am most worried about maybe myself. I seem to be losing it. I don't know. Anyway, much love, Diary. See you tomorrow.
Here's Vonnie. It's the jump scare. No one could have seen this coming, but after a few months of riding tricycles around in circles and throwing a ball against a wall, the isolation is starting to have some detrimental effects on our 4 contestants. It's now the dead of winter, and one of them has been having conversations with some of the hotel's non-living residents on the DL, and has now become convinced that it's in their best interest to murder everyone else in the hotel. And that person is Mr. McMahon. Contestants, each of you is now going to get a scene in which Mr. McMahon is chasing after you with an axe. How does that go down?
Is that you, Austin? I'll kill you, you son of a bitch!
First up, Mr. McMahon is going after Lucifer.
Lucifer has locked himself in the bathroom and is holding a knife, sitting in a corner. He wakes up suddenly, looks around and says, "How much did I drink last night? What was I going to use this knife for again? I really need to start re-examining my life choices here."
Austin, come out of there!
Oh, that's right! Mr. McMahon's gone crazy and is attempting to kill everyone, that's right. Yes, I'm here, I'm far away from the bathroom from which my voice appears to be emerging, Mr. McMahon. Yes, that should do it. Very convincing me.
Placed microphones all around the house so I don't know where you are, you son of a bitch! I'm coming for you!
Oh wow, that actually worked out quite nicely. Well, let's see if I had any foresight to bring any alcohol in here with me. Hello? Thank you, past Lucifer. You always look after me.
All right, next, Mr. McMahon is coming after Renfield.
Oh, no, I can't be part of the Kiss Your Ass Club if I'm dead, Mr. McMahon.
Who is that?
Nobody?
Austin, is that you?
I don't know who Austin is. It's me, your old buddy Renfield, yes.
Renfield.
So Renfield is like running down the hallways away from him and spots the little tricycle. Just it's like, ah, yes, he'll never catch me now. So long, sucker. Now Renfield's in charge. And stops at the elevator, pushes the button, and I'd like to think a bunch of blood comes out. Probably.
And finally, Mr. McMahon is going after Scorpia.
Ow! You nicked my carapace. This is not how you handle weapons safely, and you certainly don't do it indoors. Come on, we're gonna go outside. No, come on. I'm grabbing the axe and we're going outside.
I'm on a rampage, woman.
All right, well, look, hold my claw. Okay, now I'm gonna give you the axe back. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna spread your, get a good grounding in your feet, and I want you to use both hands on the axe, and you're gonna get this tree down.
Does the tree have a name?
Do you want to give the tree a name before you cut it down?
Austin!
Yeah, you show that Austin tree. There you go. That's the kind of backswing I like to see.
It was me, Austin Tree. It was me all along.
Well, spring has come, and even though you had to lock up Mr. McMahon in the pantry for a good deal of your stay, you all made it. It seems that the 4 of you have, yet again, managed to escape, despite the odds. Stop right there, imposter. What? What do you mean? Who are you? Why do you look like me, and why are you pointing that gun at me? Don't play dumb with me, sister. You're not fooling anyone here with that terrible impression of me. The puns in this episode have been B pluses at best. Slip into something more comforter skull. None of you thought I would say something like that, right?
I thought the puns were pretty alright.
To be honest, I wasn't really paying attention.
Oh, please, contestants, you don't believe this imposter, do you? If you're the real Yvonne, come up with a spooky pun right now. All right, in just 1 hour of pretending to be me, you undead years of my hard work. Why, looking at you right now, I'm practically beside myself.
Okay.
Sorry, contestants, I was being held in captivity by this monster, and rather than actually trying to help the four of you find love, she was secretly concocting scenarios with the goal of killing you off. She's my twin sister, Evil that got away.
Oh, yeah!
I've tried to apprehend her multiple times, but in the end, she always got away.
Ugh.
Oh sure, I'm the evil one in this room, Yvonne. That's rich. These contestants are all terrible monsters. One of these people is quite literally the embodiment of evil itself. The most wretched being in the history of existence. And also Lucifer is here.
Don't you two think that it might make more sense, instead of yelling at each other, to fight it out? Possibly in a public arena.
Oh, possibly one of those brawn panties matches.
I'm very fond of those, as you know, although they were your idea.
Or you could work it out and be friends.
Wait, you've been saying puns this whole time?
Oh, Renfield, not recognizing my puns is the least of your crimes. You've been a servant to terrible tyrants yourself. And Scorpia, you're no better. Accessories to great atrocities, the both of you. You deserve whatever comes to you. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, my sister's one of those, I'm not like those other serial killers. She only murders bad people as punishment for their sins. I'm not like the other serial killers. Now put down the gun and let's talk about this, like sisters. Your tricks aren't gonna work on me this time, Evil. Your days of serial killing are at an end. Hey Yvonne, look, our parents' validation. Where? Ow, there, wrestle. Ow, ah, punch sounds. Ow, my hair. Gun clattering to the ground sound. Oh great, she knocked the gun out of my hands. Contestants, you have to pick up the gun and shoot her. Nice try, Evil. These contestants aren't gonna fall for that trick. She's the evil one. I'm the real Yvonne. Contestants, there's only one thing we can do to discover who the real Yvonne is. It's time to reconfigure the Arrow supercomputer into the Truth Tester. The four of you have a gun, and now you all need to vote on who you think the real Yvonne is. We have Yvonne A and Yvonne B. Each of you needs to ask the two Yvonnes a question as one final measure of their Yvonne-ness.
Alright, so we have to find out then who the real Yvonne is. Well then tell me, there is a bottle of whiskey hidden somewhere on the shipwrecked set. Where is it?
Yvonne A responds, I have so many hidden around all over the place, I don't even know where to start. And then Yvonne B takes off her high heel and turns upside down and unscrews the heel and then takes a sip out of it. And then screws the top of it back on and then puts it back on her foot.
I'll be honest, I like both answers quite a bit.
All right. I've been watching Shipwrecked since the first episode. I remember whenever Sir Didymus, Talizora, Bruce Banner, and Kratos were together, and none of them got to go home with anybody. But I saw in your eyes that you had somebody who you wanted to be paired up, and only the real Yvonne would know.
So Yvonne A says, you know, I don't have a preference as long as people are getting matched and being happy. As many as possible is all I really care about. And then Yvonne B says, honestly, Bruce and Tally, because they seem to have some really good chemistry, and I think the only reason Bruce didn't write Tally's name down is because he was the Hulk at the time.
I have a question. What name did you go by during your brief stint as a professional wrestler?
Yvonne A says, the Yvonne-dertaker. And Yvonne B says, Yvonne Slot.
The question that you should be asking yourself is, who's the real Renfield? And Renfield, jumps back and forth erratically, quickly, to try and make it look like he's in two places at once. You can't tell, can you?
So Yvonne A is going to say, all right, regardless of which one of us you shoot, save one extra bullet for that guy when you're done. And Yvonne B is going to walk up and put her hands on your shoulders and then put her hand to your chest and say, the real Renfield is right here.
Renfield looks up teary-eyed and rests his head on your chest and cries, oh, thank you.
Yes, I mean, it's all very special, it's all very nice, really, but we're ignoring the salient fact. That woman is carrying whiskey in her shoe, a style which I am absolutely going to steal, so she is clearly the real one.
I only think the real Yvonne would be able to deal with, I guess, the host of things that come with being Renfield.
Curses! You figured me out! You may have learned that I am truly evil, but you forgot the second half of my name! Smoke bomb! I always get away!
That's alright, I'm rather used to standing around ineffectually while things happen around me and just sort of grinning vacantly. It's what I do.
Me too.
Alright, anyone care for some shoe bourbon?
Oh, I'll take a double.
She takes off both shoes and hands them to you. Alright guys, let's wrap this up. Time for the final segment of the show. Getting dem digits. Pick the person that drives you batty and slip them a bouquet. If two contestants pick each other, then they will earn the coveted title of soulmates. But if the person you pick says fangs but no fangs, then sorry, there are plenty of other lonely souls out there, and you'll get plenty of chances to meet them, because no one is going to be filling your grave or riding your broomstick tonight. Contestants, take this moment to secretly write down your information and slip it to the person you like most. And remember, fortune favors the grave. Mr. McMahon, who did you pick?
Well, obviously, I chose the person who shares the most of my interests, and who I felt got a real bonding experience with. I chose Lucifer.
Let's check with Renfield. Renfield, who did you pick?
Oh, well, I picked the one that I thought I had the best connection with. That would definitely be Mr. Morningstar.
Scorpia, who did you slide your digits to?
It's been kind of a weird dating situation, but I have to say, Lucifer really showed an interest in me, and we had a lot of fun putting out the fire on that typewriter, so I'm gonna say Lucifer.
Lucifer, who did you pick?
Which is the button for let's just all have an orgy again?
That's not one of the options, unfortunately.
Oh, right, this is one of those I only get one choice sort of things. I suppose that's what commitment is all about, or some nonsense. Anyway, I am choosing Scorpia.
Oh, well, look, everybody. Looks like we got a match. Lucifer and Scorpia. How are you two feeling right now?
Everything is going just fine. I'm very excited about all this. And Mr. McMahon and Renfield, there's so many hours in the day. I'm certain we can find some time to see each other once again.
Nobody turns down Vince McMahon. Sorry. Nobody turns down Mr. McMahon.
I am used to rejection.
That's it. I'm out of this place. I'm going to go from here right to your offices downtown. And I am going to buy this entire show. And when I do, Yvonne, you're fired.
I would have some sort of witty comeback, but that'll probably work. We do really need the money right now. Scorpia, how are you feeling about all this?
Kind of surprised. I'm not used to getting this kind of attention, but I have to say, it's pretty nice.
Oh, believe me, darling, you're going to be getting quite a bit of attention in just a few minutes here.
Can I watch?
Oh, please, I'd prefer it. Mr. McMahon, if you're still in the building.
I mean, I guess I could buy the show tomorrow.
Oh, no! Dan, what have you done?
I found the orgy option after all!
Oh, no.
Kid's dead! Time for the kid thanks. Over to Twitter, thank you to Bree, Robert Ramsey, Florian, Sid Rabbit, Jeff Rick Present, Cosplay Devotee, Scariest to Cool Down Now, and Earth Mofo. And on Tumbles, thank you to Sid Rabbit Blog, Not Very Bright Raven, I Will Surely Regret This, Icon Jade, and Secretly a Skeleton. Shh. And on Facebook, thank you to Robert Ramsey and Adam Mayo.
You know, this is the 1 month where you're allowed to admit you're a skeleton, right?
That's true.
Secretly a skeleton.
You know, Kit, there's someone else who retweeted our Tim Curry match. I don't know if you mentioned their
the
name.
yearly Claire fishing for Kit to read her Halloween name.
I think when you did that, you hadn't changed your name yet.
Well, I have now, so read it.
All right, I didn't find it. Hold on. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, look. What a kind soul just retweeted some bullshit we made. The Claire Witch Project.
Oh, man.
Oh, thank you. Oh, what a surprise that you read that name out.
And thanks, of course, to Spike for
Yeah.
being incredible, making a fantastic debut on Shipwrecked.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, it was real good for you to come on. And we understand you have an appropriately themed podcast of your own that the people might want to listen to.
I do. It's called Phantom Heights. It is a Monster Hearts actual play podcast. We designed it to be sort of like after school specials where they're sort of cheesy and 80s, 70s, 90s sort of just cheese, all that cheese. But yeah, it's very similar to this where we just fall in love with each other, and you should check it out. It's a lot of fun. At Phantom Heights on Twitter, on Instagram, all the social medias.
Spike's one of my favorite people. Go fucking listen to his show.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Shipwrecked. Next week, it's a death battle. Sandman Death versus Discworld Death versus Bill and Ted Death versus Joe Black.
Smash Metafiction is produced by Dan Mulcairn, with logo design by Claire Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Who Likes to Party.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
Now it's time to check in on Scorpia and Vince McMahon. Mr. McMahon.
I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass. I just feel like it's important to distinguish the character.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I'm going to need everyone to call me Daddy, so that's fitting.
Oh, I was already planning on that.
Got it, Daddy.
Understood.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh my god, so real quick aside, we joked around about, since I'm GMing the Monster Hearts game, like we joked around about like, okay, don't call me GM, don't call me DM, whatever, just call me Daddy. Like we joked about it, but the first time someone did it, I was like, okay, don't ever do that again.
Yeah. You can't run from my Skelepuns.
Are you skeleton?
I am not. I'm just ribbing you.
Oh my god.
That one went over my head. Skull? I don't know.
No.
I'm gonna stop.
I thought it was pretty humorous.
Femur.
Yell femur.
Fibula.
Bones!
All right.